What's up, guys? It's me, Pez Flips, and today, no unboxing, just first impressions. I actually opened this guy yesterday, and I got a lot to talk about it. But this is the NRB Slight. It is the prototype, which I've heard is a little bit more blade heavy. And I spent yesterday afternoon flipping with it for maybe 30 minutes before going to bed. And I've had some thoughts with it, but little introduction before that. I got an energy drink today, feeling a little crazy, and I've never had a C4 before. Now, I know that C4s aren't the best, but it was just the only thing at our convenience store that wasn't a Red Bull, and I wasn't in the mood for a Red Bull. I wasn't gonna have like a Monster. But I had it, not realizing that it had something called beta-alanine in it. And I don't know if you guys are into, I don't think it's sports science, but in the lifting scene, they talk about different compounds of pre-workouts and stuff. And there was a time in my life where I was more of a lifter, and I did use pre-workout, and mine did not have beta-alanine. And why did it not have beta-alanine? That's because it's the itchy butthole chemical. It's supposed to increase your performance, your oxidation, something like that. But it just has a funny side effect where it makes you tingly. It kind of like lights up your nerve endings a little bit to where you feel like itchy almost. Beta-alanine lasts for about 2 to 3 hours, so now I'm stuck with having like itchy hands and itchy ears, which feels so weird. It's like the first time I've ever had beta-alanine, really. So yeah, that's what I'm working with right now. But back to the actual star of the show, which is the Slight. A little bit about this guy, about me wanting him. When I first got into the hobby, you go around and you look for different knives that, you shop first with your eyes. And when I was first into the hobby, this was, I don't know if it was new, but it was something that was just not often talked about, but I thought looked so good. I mean, this Tanto is probably the best, oh my god, iteration of a Tanto, in my opinion. It's just simply clean. Now, I've talked about the design philosophy of like the Tsunami, specifically with the OG blade, because I think the Bowie blade is actually a little bit uncharacteristic of kind of what its design is going for, but kind of like the simplicity in its design gives it a lot of class. And I think that a good design is one that is not too busy. I think stuff of like the Impusa and stuff like that, while they might be good value balisongs with, great quality, and they could even be good flippers too, right? I think that design-wise, they are very noisy, and therefore I kind of step away from them a little bit because they're just a little uglier in my eyes. But something like this is just clean. It's just simple, and to the point, and it doesn't feel like it has to do a lot to state its design, which I find to be really compelling with it. I think another thing about this in particular is the texturing is kind of different from anything else. Let's go to autofocus and get close here. You can see that it's these kind of knurled effect. When I picked this up first, I was very pleasantly surprised with how deep and aggressive the texturing is. I've always been a guy who loves a lot of texture in a knife because I'd rather have more grip than less. I don't mind if it's a little rougher on the hands because, my hands look like this so that my hands can look like this. I don't know. But the stonewash that is on these handles also does provide a lot of grip. But with the texturing in particular, when you flip this thing, it feels like gym equipment. It feels like you're picking up like the deadlift bar or something like that, which honestly is not bad. Like, it's an experience that I don't think you get a lot with balisongs because the texturing is usually a little bit less pronounced. But for me, I like it. It gives you a lot of feedback. You can tell when you are on this side, this face, because this face is just untextured whatsoever, which is somewhat slippery, and I think maybe in the future some additional cutouts here and then lightening the blade would be interesting, because it is called the ultralight, but it is channel tie, which means it's actually, you know, for channel tie it is very light, but for like, you know, my current skew right now, it is still heavier than the other stuff I'm flipping. I don't know the exact weight because honestly can't be bothered to weigh them, because I think looking at the number isn't as important as feeling the balance, because something can be light but have like a lot of hot weight distribution, hot meaning like concentrated in some particular hot spots, I should say, and it'll still feel heavier than if something was heavier but more evenly distributed. Now with this guy, the weight is an interesting one. I have a lot of, it's an interesting one. First of all, I got this guy from Canada. First time I've ever gotten a package from Canada. But I got this guy a lot faster than I thought I would. But back to the weight. This guy is, I don't think you could, I don't know. You know, everyone's going to debate, is something handle bias, is something neutral or blade bias? And here it looks like it's kind of like spot on maybe. So like when you do this test, you're supposed to see is, as it goes out, is the blade crossing over half? Is it going above a 90 degree? Because that kind of dictates if it's like, if it's handle bias, it's only going to go down to like there, right? But if it's like neutral, it's there. If it's a little bit blade weight, then it's up out there. And you can see it goes maybe just a little bit over. And that's, I think, partly due because of the length of the blade. Because it goes pretty far in there. And I think another aspect of that is that the handles are a little on the shorter side. I don't have one that I can willy-nilly grab right now. Well, I can, but I'd have to take like 3 steps and that'd be really hard to grab. And right now I'm just thinking about how much my ears are itchy because of that gosh darn beta-alanine. But yeah, because of the weight prominence in the blade and the short handles, what it leads you to feel is something where the fans are actually immaculate. Honestly, I've flipped a lot of knives. The only thing that this reminds me of is the Opus. The Opus's fans are so clean, so tight, and this one has the same fans where it's just no nonsense. It just goes, and when you're doing a fan switch, it feels so good. But with that, stuff like rollovers sometimes feel like they're getting a little bit away, just a little bit away. And I think this is where the short handles play well. When I flip a knife, sometimes I visualize like there's a tennis ball or something that is right in the pivot area. In this case, a tennis ball is an apt description. If it's a handle bias knife, maybe it's like a ping pong size ball. And the point of this illustration is that when you're engaging your rollovers and stuff, usually the initiation point where I'm starting the rollover, I'm holding this part of the handle. Now, because this has more blade weight, I'm going to be holding it a little lower down. So for it being a shorter knife, I'm able to get to the bottom of the knife faster. So it's a different experience. I don't know if it's necessarily competitively better or worse, but it is a different experience. So having it here and flipping it down here, I can have, if you see there, I can have the end of the handle here stabilized in my palm, which is kind of one of the benefits of a shorter knife. Also, because I have smaller hands, you know, I think those shortcomings of a smaller knife are a little less prevalent for me, because you know, I think I benefit more than I sacrifice for a shorter handle. I like how nimble it is. I will say, flipping the Gaboon, honestly, it's the more and more I flip that thing, the more I realize, holy cow, that thing is unbelievably light. So going to this guy, it feels heavy. Today, because I haven't flipped the Gaboon yet, it feels good. Like, it has like a good weight to it where I can take my time, I can slow down, and it'll still kind of take you where you need to. It got a lot of flow because of its weight, but it's also not like horrible. And oh my god, I'm so itchy right now. My palms are itchy. But yeah, the tolerances were also really good. I can feel a little bit of play, but this has definitely had to have been tuned after the fact, because my understanding is that NRB usually runs oversized. I think they prioritize a little bit more swing over sound, which, you know, I've had conversations and videos about too, which I think it's a totally valid, and I'm not one to say based because I think it's kind of cringe online speak, but if I were, I would say it's based. Just because it's like, you know, the performance, I think, of oversized, the free swing is more valuable than size when you're talking about flippability. I understand that there's two different camps there, and there's a lot of discussion there worthy of a video of its own. But I think both sides have merit, and for a maker to prioritize that in their makes, in their builds, is not something you see often, but something I respect as a flipper. But yeah, and when I do flip this guy, I ended up holding it farther away, and that's kind of the cheat code for it. Because if you hold it too far up, you end up fighting it, and then you're not going to have a great time actually flipping it, because you're just working against it. Overall, when I picked this thing up at first, it just reminds me of a differently balanced, it's like a more industrialized Tsunami that's like differently balanced. Like the handles feel similar. Neither the Tsunami or these handles are tapered, and you know, I think tapered handles are a slept on part of building a balisong. I think they provide a lot that that flippers appreciate, without sometimes really acknowledging. But yeah, this guy feels really good. I'll have to spend more time on it to get a full understanding of it, but as it stands, I feel like I kind of summed up a lot of its identity pretty well. It's got some blade weight, so you have to play around that, but it feels really good, very grippy, and for channel tie, this thing doesn't feel like channel tie. It doesn't perform that way, which is, it's nice, it's refreshing, because honestly, channel tie in the past for me has been really tricky to work with, and this guy kind of steps around that. But yeah, let's flip till we drop, or I accidentally end the recording like I did last time. Okay, bye guys.